we are the same. I get the same degree. I have the same, like a big car, for example. Yeah. So, what you need to work on in addition to mudita is, to look at that competitive mind. Competition is something people use very widely to motivate themselves. I have been arguing recently for the last 2 or 3 years that competition has a lot of side effects. We should never compete. There are things that we cannot avoid, from competing, because the world's resources are limited and we have to compete for them. But a lot of times we compete unnecessarily. I have been going around to teaching monastery to tell students and also their teacher not to compete. They use competition as motivation to make the students work, to motivate them. I said, that's dangerous. If 2 very good students, they compete, they see each other as a threat, and they work very hard. And if they become 2 cabinet ministers in the government, they still compete. Now, it's very dangerous. Between competitors, there is no collaboration. There is no cooperation. All they do is they want to prove each other wrong. They want to prove that they are better. So that competitive mind, or that competitive mindset, is deeply rooted in this country, or in many countries in the world. In my talks, in a few of my lectures, I have cited education from Denmark. No competition. The results, they don't rank you 1, 2, 3, 4, no. Even in England, other people don't know your results. They don't want you to compete. This is one thing that you need to take care of yourself. If you compare yourself with other people all the time, Western psychology, some people, not all of them, would say that that's a good thing because when you win, that gives you self-confidence. But I think that's very dangerous. It has a lot of side effects. So instead of competition, we can use compassion, karuna, to motivate ourselves, like Bodhisattva, like the Buddha. A lot of suffering in this world, if we feel the pain of those people and we want to be part of their solution, and we work hard in what we do, if motivation comes from this, then we don't need to compete with anyone. We will still be the best, among the best. So that's one thing that I want you to focus on. Now, mudita will help you to diagnose your anxiety that you had before, and it remains dormant deep down in your subconscious mind, and also regret. You see, regret. We can always think about what we don't have and regret. Mudita is to change that mindset and to focus on what we have, because we have enough. And everyone of us are doing, very well in our own way. So, if we can redirect our mind, if we can change that default position in our brain, in our mind. Now, in terms of the brain, from the amygdala at the back, the prefrontal cortex will start working. As much as the position of the mind, the habit of the mind. If you do this, you can rejoice in the completion of Silakkhanda. Now you don't think about the completion of Silakkhanda, you only think about the failure of Athasalini and Parajika Khanda. You see? You have two choices to think about the failure and the success. You have both. Yeah. Nando Basa.
Someone to meet you here. I'd like to ask 3 questions exactly. Maybe this is the question that you have to answer several times when you go to the Buddha. The first one is, why the Buddha taught us the 4 Brahmavihara Dhammas, the 4 divine books? Why do you focus just on the compassion meditation? Because I think there are several occasions that we have to use all kinds of techniques to deal with all the difficulties that we meet in our life. So sometimes there might be a reason to use metta, or sometimes as compassion, or sometimes karuna mudita as well. So when you talk the compassion meditation as a theme of your teaching, or what is the reason? I would like to know. And this is my first question. And the second is, why we recollect what we have done successfully for ourselves and for others as well? Isn't that kind of scattering and kind of wandering in your mind? According to the Vipassana meditation practice, when our mind wanders to the past and hope for the future, unless we don't focus on the present moment, can we get concentration and insight from such kind of meditation? And what is the highest spiritual achievement from your compassionate meditation technique? This is my second question. And then the third one is, the third question is, there might be a person, a criminal or a corrupted official, that he became rich from illegal means, like he got a lot of money from illegal ways, but he used this money for himself and for his family and for his community. And then in this example, when we recollect what he has done for himself and for others, is it suitable for him to satisfy his achievement? Because he got a lot of income from illegal way, but he used it for himself and for family. So is it possible for him to use compassionate meditation? Because if he thinks this is the right way, he will continue so.
The third one is a compassion, karuna, mudita. What you want to say? I know the compassion or joy.
Sorry.
Okay.
This is my person.
Okay. The first question, why I focus on compassion. A few reasons. One is in this country we practice Brahmavihara, but about 95% of the people, they stop at metta. They never go through karuna and mudita, far less upekkha. That is why we have a lot of misperception about upekkha. In 2015, I gave a long talk on misunderstanding of upekkha in this country. Not just this country, but also in Thailand and also in Sri Lanka. I feel because we start with metta and we don't get to karuna. So I want to encourage people to do that. I want to bring to their attention the importance of karuna. But karuna, in that sense, in terms of focus, is narrower, is more specific. It works only on pain, on unpleasant experiences. Dukkha aya. It works on that. But just to work on that and develop our mind without intention to take some action to solve problem, is not karuna. So what we usually say, tanavare, oh, I feel compassion, I feel his pain, her pain. That much is not compassion. In the Athasalini, para dukkha panayana bhavati lakkhana. Para dukkha, other people's pain, apanayana, to remove it. Unless there is a clear intention to remove other people's karuna. When we disagree something in this country, we get angry with each other easily, we fall out with each other easily. We stop talking to each other, we stop cooperating with each other easily. I see this as problem of anger management. But when somebody gets angry with you and stops working with you, if you behave the same, even if you don't get angry, if you stop working with that person, then you also have the same problem, the same EQ problem. You sustain that tension. Okay. I mean, how to develop this country? Not this country, it may be Thailand, it may be Malaysia, it may be England, after Brexit, it may be America. When we disagree with each other, our focus is fixed on the people we disagree with. We become fixated with the people who annoy us. And we lose our focus. Our focus should be dukkha, should be suffering, should be problem. If we focus on the problem of this country, the problem that Buddha Sasana faces, the problem that Bharati Sasana faces, then we would be thinking about problem, trying to fix the problem. This is how compassion becomes our motivation. Otherwise, we can get fed up and then give up things easily. So I want people to be more resilient. And of course, another thing is that I believe what people do when they practice metta, most people practice metta, they recite a certain formula. That's for people who achieve high samadhi, the level of jhana. That works for them. But for people who have no working level of samadhi, that formula wouldn't work for them. They would still get angry with the people who disagree with them like that. So I find that, compassion more practical. And I have been trying to apply this to soldiers, to medical professionals, for engineers, for office workers, for teachers, for monks, using compassion as motivation. Because karuna helps us to stay connected with dukkha. So from that sense, it helps us to stay connected with the three characteristics. We work on dukkha if we develop karuna. We want to reduce the impact of dukkha. At least we want people to suffer less. That's karuna. Okay. The Buddha taught 4 Brahma Viharas. And why I choose only karuna? I think by working on karuna, a certain portion of metta is included, especially if that metta focuses on dukkha. For the part of metta that focuses on sukha, mudita, we have to take care of it. So in my understanding, roughly, karuna and mudita, they are branches of metta. Metta is wider than that. Metta has a lot of qualities. But for many people, it's too abstract. Hidupakara bhavati, meaning to wish for the welfare, to have other people's welfare in your mind, and think and speak and act that way. That's metta. It's too abstract for many people. Too abstract. So this is your second question, if you want to remind me.
What is this highest spiritual achievement?
Okay.
What is
This technique. This technique, I usually introduce basic satipatthana first. Basic satipatthana, especially cittanupassana, to get to know our emotional reaction. So like today, we do mudita and we use mudita as diagnosis. We can use karuna as diagnosis as well. Yeah. Abhidhamma would say karuna can replace dosa or is antidote of dosa. Mudita is antidote of lobha. This one depends on the level of our samadhi, our understanding. If our understanding of dukkha is so individualized, so much self-centered, maybe we will achieve only samadhi, we will achieve only samadhi. I mentioned earlier the gentleman, the station master from KL. 20 minutes, his mind never wandered. He is a person who is afraid of meditation. For 20 minutes, his mind doesn't wander. Stay totally focused on the subject. So, when we do karuna, I think we focus mainly on dukkha. We are working on dukkha satya. I like to think satipatthana is part of this, and dukkha nupassana is part of this, and the karuna is part of this. Sometimes I question the way people consider Brahmavihara as purely samatha, only with only paññatti as their object, and not leading us to enlightenment. Dittinja anupakama silawa dasanina. By working on karuna, by working on dukkha, if I work on my pain, my disappointment, I'm very similar to Vanavijita. I did Tajadiha. I really wanted to do this, to pass this. I said for 1 year, I have 6 more years to do. A lot of time. But then my health didn't allow me to do. And I stopped. So sometimes I dream about this. Sometimes I still dream about this. When I focus on my regret and my disappointment, if I work on myself with karuna, then I relate to Vanavijita's karuna. I relate to every one of your disappointment. Then self-centeredness is lessened and lessened. You see? Self-centered. The fear that helps us to identify regret as me, as mine, becomes less and less. In my understanding, if I can connect with the disappointment of someone who has hurt me, or someone who doesn't like me, then I think we can look at disappointment and see nedang mama neso hamasmi na meso atta. Not just me. It's not me. Just cause and effect. I don't really need to use my past to define myself anymore. I can liberate myself that way. Ditthanja anupakama silawa dasanena sampanno. This is Sotapanna. Brahmavihara, following Brahmavihara. Kamesu Vineya Gedang Nahi Jadu Kabasya Bun. This is Anagami. This is what we chant every day here, is the very words of the Buddha. And I really believe in that. But some people have a twist in that. You have to work on vipassana. This one alone is not enough. They would say that. Actually, the Buddha has already included vipassana in the Metta Sutta. When he says, Ewang pi sabba buddhesu, reach out to everyone, to the whole world, using your pain to reach out to all of them, using your joy, your success to reach out to all of them, the whole world. Abharimanam. I think there is a lot of spiritual achievement in that. I think the last question is ethical question. Ethical question. Someone who got rich unethically, and should we feel mudita for this person? We need to be clear. This is the reason why karuna and mudita are separate. There are certain parts that we need to feel his pain. That person, okay, in our eye he may be enjoying himself because he has a nice car, because he sent his children to top university using. If they come towards me here, they would explode because of the pain inside, because of the suffering inside. Guilt is in subconscious mind. We can never use our reasoning to overcome guilt. Yeah. Just reasoning alone, it wouldn't do. So for that reason, we need to feel their pain, compassion. I think I know quite a few people in that category. Not just in this country, but also in other countries. They try very hard to fit in. They would use their wealth, they would try to establish connection so that people accept them. I see that as suffering. So I have a lot of karuna, a lot of compassion for them. For people who don't have money, they think people who have money, they have no suffering. Again, that's an artificial understanding of suffering. So then, should we do mudita for them? You can find if they are healthy, you can do mudita for them. If they are, if their family is intact, you can feel happy with them. If you have some qualm, some doubt about their wealth, forget about it. But in my case, I would do early in the morning, they can feed themselves. Wherever they want to go, they can. Tiring themselves walking. And for that reason, I can feel compassion for them. Usually I introduce Karuna first. And there's a reason why the Buddha focuses almost entirely on dukkha. So given that as the default position in the Buddhist teaching, we can say Karuna is more relevant, especially in the case that you raised. First, I want to put this to you for your own thought, first theoretically. I do this practice for 7 days, for 10 days like this, in a retreat. And with people who have done, other types of meditation. And they discover something in themselves. When they work on compassion, work on pain in themselves, in other people, finally in the people who have nothing to do with them, or in the people who hate them, who cause them pain. When they can do that, they have already subdued their anger to a certain extent. They are quick to identify their emotional reaction at that point. I would give them a challenge to do that. In the topic, in the subject, in the issue they work for Karuna, I would ask them to find mudita, theoretically, then practically. In the same way, somebody who is very strong in mudita rather than Karuna, there are people like that, then the same thing, the same thing. Now, I have this microphone and I can be joined for using this microphone. You can all hear me, I can be heard. This is mudita. But the same issue I can do Karuna. The fact that I need this microphone is Karuna. So I would challenge that way. If we can do that, one issue we can do both Karuna and mudita, then this practice is strong. Some tiny thing that the person, there's a lot of suffering inside, but the fact that he can still walk one step, the fact that he can still breathe, there is still hope. That sort of thing. It's the kind of determination that good physicians, good surgeons would have, that they would not give up. That people can still be happy. If we look at how suffering is so overwhelming in someone's life, when we don't have mudita, that karuna can turn into mercy killing. I have come across a close friend, a family in Cambridge, in England. And they recommended for that mother, like euthanasia. And for me, after I have criticized them, I faced the same situation with my mother, who had cirrhosis. The pain only increased, never decreased. The good thing that because we have mudita, mudita means believing in the strength of someone. Every day I would I would chant the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta with her. And she had been to maybe about 10 days meditation retreat with Mingun. So she knew how to work on pain. And I would meditate with her. But, from time to time, she experienced huge anxiety, not knowing. And my niece, three of us taking care of. We couldn't tell her. But the thing is that we value the days that she had, the few days, the few weeks that she had. This comes from mudita. So we would meditate every day, and I would make sure, because she was very fond of generosity, giving things to monks, to nuns like that. I would ensure that she could do that every day. And then family member would share the meal. This is the way she was brought up. We did that. And the doctors from Thailand, and devotee from Singapore, and the devotee from England, they sent morphine, including morphine pack, and tablets. My mother never asked for it. And my sister, seeing her struggling with pain, gave her once. And she became dizzy for 3 days. And she asked my sister, what medicine you gave me that made me feel dizzy? Or that yellow color medicine, yellow color, just we talk about the color. Never give me that medicine again. We meditated with her, and we helped her to do things. So she never took morphine again. She never took morphine again. This is to go through pain with meditation, with the love of the family. And we also use everything, including massage, and to block some nerves. Yeah. It works then first it worked maybe for 10 hours, then 8 hours, then 6, then 4, then 2, then no more. Like that. Whatever happened, she was able to work on that pain. As the pain increased, her concentration increased. She couldn't open her eyes anymore, and she couldn't raise her hand anymore. But when the time came, like 3 p.m., like that, there would be the time the monks, maybe 4 or 5 monks, would come and chant Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. She would raise her hand and point it near her back to signal my sister to prepare the seat for the monks. You see? And someone came and asked her, okay, Grandma, do you want to do anything? What can we do for you? That meant her last wish. And she said that she had been to Bodh Gaya with me twice, each time staying for 1 month, meditating there. And she has done everything that she wanted to do. That a sense of mudita. But one thing that she wanted to do, she wanted to offer lunch in all the 5 monasteries that I have been trained. And the family arranged for that. And my elder sister informed one of my younger sisters who was with her, okay, Mother, we are about to offer food to the monk. Actually, at that time, she couldn't raise her hand anymore. For some reason, she managed, or she mastered her strength, and she hold her hand, both hands, on her forehead for 1 hour, visualizing that the monks were eating her meal. And so this is a belief that things can still be done in the last minute. I mean, we are not talking about the lastminute.com. We are talking about opportunity in life, mudita, believing in that. My friend in Cambridge would have recommended a strong dose of morphine to put her to sleep. Okay, we can continue tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.